Kia ora koutou katoa and hi, my name's Glenn Sharkey. Welcome to this video series on how to stay motivated at home. At the time of filming this, we were only 6 hours away from an absolutely unprecedented time in New Zealand's history in which we're facing a minimum 4-week lockdown with the majority of people on enforced home detention apart from trips to the supermarket and a small handful of other essential businesses. I worked with a lot of businesses, particularly in terms of leadership and staff development, and when they began to tell me about gearing up to work from home, at that stage a voluntary move, I began to think about how I could support them, having worked from a home office for the last 20 years or so. Of course, since those initial proactive moves by businesses to work from home, we're now faced with the extraordinary circumstance of it being mandatory for the vast majority of our population. Actually, if I'm going to be honest and transparent with you, I may as well lose the facade of this green screen and let you see the real working from home me. So a t-shirt replaces the collared shirt and the unshaved look is very much the order of the day. I'm going to post a video on each of the weekdays. It won't take us long to lose track of which are weekdays and which are the weekends, in order to support the following people. Firstly, those people who are having to work from home whose workload will either remain the same or may even increase during this time. Secondly, those people who will be working from home but whose workload will be reduced, even significantly so. And finally, those people who are expecting to go back to work when the lockdown lifts but may have very little to feel purposeful about in the meantime. I want to see you remain buoyant with your dignity intact during this time. I fall somewhere between the second and the third groups with having no client work at the moment. It may seem like the first group and the third groups are worlds apart, but maintaining motivation for all three groups will be a challenge over the ensuing weeks. With this video series, I'll share with you what my wife and I have learned having both studied and worked from home. I've worked for businesses and run my own business from home and completed all three of my tertiary qualifications with home-based study. My wife has also spent the majority of her work life being home-based, completing her master's from home, and is one of the few people for whom this lockdown period is entirely business as usual. That's because she's in the second year of her doctoral study, which is entirely online and home-based. Her PhD is in the area of personal relationships. The average person reads 300 articles in 3 years or 4 years to support their thesis. She's up to 16,000 after 12 months. So do you think it might be prudent to get her on the video at some point to talk about maintaining healthy relationships during this period? I reckon so. Over the next few weeks, we'll cover subjects such as some of the myths around what works and what doesn't in terms of working from home, managing the challenges of distractions, many of whom will have the same surname as you. The need to keep in touch and support your fellow team members, the broader business, and clients and customers. Not just staying fit and healthy, but using this period to improve your health and fitness. Ways to minimize cabin fever and the additional stress of personal relationships. And we'll look at the work from home matrix that looks at productivity versus relational wellness. On top of that, I'll give you a glimpse into how we do working from home in terms of using our dining table as a work desk and also as a table tennis table. And I can't tell you how much fun it is to play table tennis without having cleared the table. My own office desk, which is probably unlike anything you've seen before, but it emphasizes my commitment towards maintaining fitness even when I work. And my main non-work project I intend to work on during the lockdown, my 2-story high golf ball run in our entrance stairwell made out of vintage cabinetry and carpentry tools. This is an important project for me to work on during this time to maintain motivation and also have a sense of achievement. This is the first of many videos on the subject of not just surviving but thriving during the next few weeks of lockdown. It's a bit longer this one's a bit longer than the others as an introductory video. Having said that, I want to leave you with a story of a couple of points regarding effectively navigating the next few weeks. I'm the immediate past president of the Professional Speakers Association and also one of only 10 CSPs or certified speaking professionals in New Zealand. When I was the national president, we had a panel of CSPs at our national meeting talking about what it takes to be a successful professional speaker and educator. I remember one question that was posed to us by the MC asking us to give the number one tip or piece of advice in terms of building a successful speaking business. The first CSP to answer stated that it's absolutely critical to publish a book in order to establish industry credibility, create extensive content on your subject beyond your 60-minute keynote, and of course use this as a source of revenue. I was at the opposite end of the panel to the far right, and when it was my turn to answer, I turned to the person immediately to my left who was both a CSP and a world champion of public speaking and said to him, "Roughly how many books have you written, Dave?" And if my memory serves me correctly, his reply was something along the lines of, "Shut up, shark." And so I repeated the question. And this time his reply was, "You know how many books I've written, Sharky." And when I once again repeated the question, this time he answered it by saying, "None. I haven't written any books." And then I turned to the audience and I highlighted the fact that my friend and colleague David Nottage, despite the fact that he hadn't published a single book at that stage, had built a really successful business teaching corporate clients public speaking and presentation skills. As much as the first person to answer the question had sworn by the need to publish a book, which for her had worked stunningly well, it hadn't been necessary for David, and I used it to emphasize the fact that you'll receive a lot of information in this industry regarding what works and what doesn't, but it all needs to be taken with a grain of salt because one size doesn't fit all. That's the first point that I want to emphasize when it comes to effectively working from home. You'll find a lot of information on the internet about how to do this productively. However, what works for one person won't necessarily work for another. Don't beat yourself up, especially in the first few days or even in the first couple of weeks as you find out what does and doesn't work, not only for you, but also for the people that you live with. This is uncharted waters for most, and you're going to find yourself bumping up against submerged obstacles that you never even knew were there. Secondly, be gracious to those around you. We're going to all have to make extra effort to cope with the added pressure of being cooped up together for an unusually long period. And lastly, stay connected with people in the outside world. You'll be quite surprised how incredibly grateful some of your business colleagues and clients will be when you call them just simply to ask, "How are you doing?" I'm looking forward to this journey with you. See you tomorrow. Hey, I forgot to mention, if you're watching this on YouTube, then go below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and you will be updated with these videos daily. If you're watching it on LinkedIn, then go over to my YouTube channel, Glenn Sharkey. You will also, once you've subscribed and hit the notification button, get these videos daily. If you know of people that you think might benefit from having increased encouragement and support and motivation during this time, then feel free to share these videos with others. We really want to be as motivated as we can during this lockdown period.